Hello, people. Good evening. Can anyone hear me? Hello, hello, hello. All right. Good evening, people. Welcome to the session today. This is week 3 of how many weeks? Of 8 weeks. We are progressing. And this would be the 7th session, 7 of 24. How was the holiday for you? Someone is asking if I missed you. I don't want to answer that question. Everyone is fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Stressful. Holiday stress. How would holiday be stressful? How? Just explain. Someone is still not able to log in into the LMS when you are about starting your second CA. Oh, congratulations, Agama. You did your graduation. Interesting. But you did not share rice, so you did not send rice to Ibadan for me. Yeah, Muslim Junior is fine. Thank you. So welcome everybody. Welcome. There was no holiday care. No. Perpetual. No. There was. Your last class was on Wednesday. So you had 4 days off. 4 days of break. They did not share Akara. No. That's this a guess. They did not share Akara. I did not see it. Maybe you got it, but I didn't get Akara anyways. So some of you enjoyed the Akara on my behalf. That's fine. No issues. Hope you took it with hot akamu, or do you call it pap? Is it pap? Is it akamu? Is it ogi? What do you call it? You traveled. Okay, Mr. Julius. So what did you bring for us? Work occupied the holiday. Yeah, it's expected. It happens sometimes, but not always. But there are times that during your holidays you go to the cinema, right? Grandchildren of I did not even see the children, not to talk of grandchildren. Yeah, the file shared is lookup. Yes, that's what we're looking at. Ignore whatever title you see on YouTube today. That's not happening today. So it was a mix up there. You're doing lookups today. When was the first CA? Well, class rep, answer that question, please. Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome. This is session 7, and welcome to week 3. We would proceed today, and I hope that for those of you that you mentioned during the first class, that you are at the intermediate level, I'm hoping that you've gained something still. I'm sure that the beginners would have gained quite a bit, but it will be interesting to also listen to those of you that you mentioned you were at intermediate level. How has it been for you? Have you gained anything at all? Or we should train it up a bit more? This madam that graduated, Agama, from DSA, how has it been for you? You learned some things in DSA, and now you're taking learnings with AI now. How has it been? Have you learned, have you gained anything extra at all? Mr. Peter, what's your question precisely? Gained something, okay. Gained something precious, maybe not much, right? Yeah. Esther, you've gained. Emmanuel, you gained a lot. I should try and reduce it, okay? No, we cannot. We can only go higher. You have gained, but stress won't allow you practice. No, you have to practice. Don't give in to stress. You must. You have to. There is no way around it. Okay, Agama, you did graphic design. Interesting. People are learning in this world, though. You learned graphic design, then now you are doing data analysis. Maybe next time you will do software engineering. Okay, Manuel, you graduated from DSL as well. Okay, that's fine. Congrats. Getting something, but this extra 2021 without a function. Well, you probably don't have so much options for now, but it's just some good information to have, so you know those things exist and those things are possible. Graphics analysts. Olashupo, yeah, maybe that's the name. You've get okay. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad. Yes, Olashupo, I'll ask a question. I still don't understand your statement, Peter. You are not writing completely. Nesting month extraction formula with text extraction formula for extracted month. Is this possible for Excel date? I don't understand though. This your question is beyond me. Please come down to my level. I'm currently building data using the lesson learned so far from my office work. Super. That's the idea. So whatever you learn here, try to put it to use however you can. That's the way to cement your learnings. Switch function is confusing. That's why there are always alternatives. So if one is not like people would say these days, jiving. Unfortunately, I don't know the meaning of that word. So, but if one is similarly difficult for you, that's why there are alternatives to most of those functions. So you can always go a different route. Marvelous, you've gained a lot. Ajaya Biodun, you did project management with DSA. That's interesting. All right. So from last week, if you have any questions, please ask now. Ask any questions from the previous weeks. Ask now in the next 3 minutes before we shoot. Not the actual shoot, but the shoot that you know. I gain more when I rewatch. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Ampersand, flash view, concat. No, I need you to ask questions first. Ayo. For calculating the days, month, and year difference, can we use future date as end date or next work date? The days, for calculating the days, month, and year difference, it just depends on the scenario. It's not fixated. So it depends. So if you want to calculate, the idea is this: you want to get the number of days between 2 days, identify the 2 days, the two dates. So one might be, for example, employment date, the other one is exit date. So you want to know how long an employee stayed in the business. Those will be your 2 days, two dates to consider. You are looking for maybe you are running a campaign. Your campaign has a start date, maybe it's a marketing campaign, it has a start date and an end date. Those will be your 2 dates. So it's not fixated on the idea. I was trying to push forth was for you to understand how to get the differences, not exactly for you to master any sort of date. For whatever scenario you find yourself in, just try to understand, just try to pick correctly what data are involved, and then you run your calculations. I'm still struggling with understanding age extraction. Just watch, don't worry. Watch, you'll get it. Can you do the days difference? Because no, we can't do it again. We did it in the class. So I just need you to ask questions now. We did it in the class, so please go over the recording. When I use the functions, it shows value instead of this. Yes, if it shows value instead of date, it depends on what you want. So if you are trying to calculate difference between two dates, you don't expect to get a date in return piece. So you expect to get the number of days, the number of months, the number of years. So you know, if for whatever reason you are getting something in date format, it means that there's a formatting on that cell and you need to change the formatting to numbers or general. I don't know how to get the days, month, and year difference. Please watch the recording. For calculating funding eligibility, I got yes and no using if function, but you got different thing using switch. Why? We're supposed to get the same thing regardless. So something might be missing. I don't know how to get, okay. Just wanted to be sure I understand. Okay. Can you explain the difference between the switch and if? Because if is different from switch, so they are different. So the idea with switch is switches. So switches between yes and no, sort of. If text if would test a logic, and then it gives you a result based on whether that logic is true or false. But ifs never return something for false. So for ifs, you will only be testing a condition and then giving you what the true value is. That's ifs. Switch can do what ifs would do and has a default value for if all of the results, if all of the logics that you're testing, if all of them returns a false, a false, something can be returned, which is the default value. What I mean is this: if you're using ifs does not have a value if false. So it's only testing a condition, multiple conditions, and it's checking which of them will return a true and will return the corresponding value. But switch will test if those conditions are true. If they're true, it returns something. If they're all false or they are not true, it returns something else. So switch is more robust than ifs in the sense that for ifs, if none of your conditions return a true, ifs will return a blank for you. For switch, you can tell it to return a default value if nothing results into a true. I don't know if that makes sense. I think I still remember your name, Mathia, right? I want to understand how we converted the year to age or age to year from the last. Please watch the recording. I wrote a code for conditional using switch, but some of returns were wrong. You probably didn't express something well. If we combine, sorry, some of these are running in. If we combine on next month extraction from a given date with text extraction of the same month extracted on the same cell, I don't understand this. The function for calculating age is not returning the correct age for some. That's not possible. You are missing something. When a column consists of different units like kg and gram, how can we convert it to same units? Yes, super. This is a case where you would need the if condition. If you understood all we've done in the conditionals, you should be able to solve this. It means that you don't understand something yet. So now you have, my expectation is that you have a column that has the values, whether it's 1 kg, 2 kg, or 300 grams. Then you now have a column that specifies the unit, whether it's kg or gram. What you will now do is you create another column that checks if it's kg, return the value as it is. If it is gram, multiply it by 1000. That's just the idea, very straightforward. When using workday function, will it also exclude holidays that fall on workday? Yes, if you specify those holidays. You see that it has an argument for holidays, so you can have a list of all those holidays and pass it into the argument. Then it will exclude all of them. Which function can I use if I want to get the age when writing the date of birth? It's the same thing that we did in class. So you have the date of birth, you want to get the age, then you're doing year of today, you're extracting the year of today minus the year of birth. It's the same thing we did in class, same application. When you use the function to pull the email address together, I noticed if I drag down, it doesn't make sense. Yes, it won't make sense, but we'll get to the reason why it didn't make sense. We'll get to that tomorrow, by God's grace. WhatsApp contact, please to share. No, please just drop it on your group, on your class group. Hopefully someone will respond to you, or you send a message on LinkedIn instead. The way we use and is the same way we use, oh yes it is, but the idea are different. So and would expect that both conditions are true for it to return a true, or would expect at least one of them to be true for it to return a true. Were you supposed to make the email address constant, or was the trick? Don't worry, Bookie. Don't rush, Okay, you learn that tomorrow by God's grace. It's just a concept. So there's a concept behind it that you need to understand. Once you understand that concept, you know why it worked the way it worked. I don't understand dynamic sentence generator. Don't worry about that. Ignore it. Explain the difference between concat and they are the same thing. Is there another function to use instead of using switch or if that will give us the same answer? We learned it in class now. So when you're doing conditionals, is do three functions. You either use if, ifs, or switch. If you are not using any one of them, I don't know what else you will use, except you want to type your answers manually. All right, I think that's enough for today. Thanks again for all your questions. Maybe we might have to, at the start of a new week, this might be the pattern. So we take a couple of questions, especially to clear out whatever gray areas you still have from your learnings. All right, so share what you learned last week, please, people. So go to the chat now, type in at least one thing that you learned last week. Use work date function to shift it day by day. See date function to shift it date by. Excellent, Emmanuel. Well done. Okay, Angie, you learned date functions. I'll do some date function switch and ifs. And or that's Kosevi. You can't see the screen. That's from your end. Learn the difference between edate and workday. Super. Learn function. Was it last week that we did learn? I'm not sure, but I think so. The div using the functions, extraction of weekday month. Super. The mystery behind date in Excel. Good. Olashupo, well done. Use of some functions like, I'm not sure people have covered everything that we did last week. We did a lot more. Okay, someone remembers the shortcut to get dates. Joseph, well done. Fumi, text join, that's good. How to clean and trim, good. Learned how to get quarter. Shagun, yes, because that's not pretty straightforward. It needs a bit of thinking through. Performance category, Mary, what's up with that? Volatile function, good. Talk. Okay, so well done, everybody. Thanks for sharing all of this. Let me push this down, and so we can proceed. I'm gonna share this screen. You like the car? Yeah, it's a nice car actually. Not for Nigerian roads. Okay, so let's begin. Today we want to look at lookup and reference functions. We want to look at lookup and reference functions. A lot of the times, when you get into, excuse me, a lot of the times when you get to be asked if you know Excel, many times what the questioner or the person is seeking to know is, can you do lookup in Excel? Because lookup, I tell you, lookup is one of those areas in Excel that people dread the most. It gives people a lot of trouble. You'll see people that will tell you that they are advanced users of Excel, but when it comes to doing some lookup, they struggle. They struggle really much. So if you master this part pretty well, and everything that we've learned so far, and the things to come, you can beat your chest that to a large extent, you'll be able to solve Excel problems. I said if you master, you did not memorize what I'm doing. And that's why I'm taking my time to explain to you why you're doing what you're doing. So you need to pay attention, you need to put your mind at it, you need to be able to digest everything that we're talking about and then now able to marry them all together to solve really interesting cases. I have one of them for you today that you're going to implement. Some of you asked that question in session 2 or session 3, and today we are going to provide an answer to that question. So stay tuned. In case we're not able to get to that today, we definitely will look at it tomorrow, but let's see. All right, your screen is blurry using a phone. That's the reason. So you need to use a PC. So I want to talk about lookup and reference. First is, what is lookup? As the name implies, you want to look up for something. Something is somewhere and you want to look it up. Or something is somewhere and you want to reference it for it to be used somewhere else. Remember, when you applied to get a job, then you're asked to provide references or referees. What does it mean? You want to provide somebody that they can talk to on your behalf. So they will use that information. They would use whatever the person tells the company. If it's a quick service restaurant business, and then they ask your referees that tell us about this person. Let me not mention someone's name so that they don't feel bad. And they say that, tell us about this person. And your referee says that the guy, every single time, the guy is always eating. Do you think they will hire you? We don't go hire you. Sorry. So you just get that rejection mail 1 minute after. Sorry, we found. Unfortunately, we are moving ahead with a candidate that is better suitable for this role, or they will just write in English somehow. They will not tell you that it's your referee that told them that you eat a lot. And this is a quick service restaurant business. Oh, our rice here, our burger, our everything is not safe. We can't have you here. That's all it means. But again, the point I'm making is that when you do look up, something is somewhere, you want to fetch it. Or you just want to reference that thing for you to use somewhere else. That's the idea for lookup. So we have a couple of functions, as always. If we go here into the formula bar and into the formulas tab, and I come here to this group that says lookup and reference. So in the lookup and reference tab, if I click on the drop down here, you see that we have numerous functions. We have numerous functions here. Some of these functions are not entirely lookup or reference functions, but Microsoft just they have a way of grouping the functions together. However, some of the functions, they're directly about looking up or referencing, while some are more like array functions that we're going to talk about sometime next week. So today, we want to look at functions like choose. We have match. We have index, we have VLOOKUP. Yeah, VLOOKUP. We have XLOOKUP, have XMatch. There are a number of other lookup functions outside of this, but I do not believe, or I do not agree that you need more than this to solve any lookup problems that you are faced with. I do not agree that you need more than this. So if you're able to master these guys, you know them properly, you know what they do, you know how you can combine them to solve a particular problem, then you would be a lookuper, if that word exists. There is HLOOKUP, but you don't need it, in my opinion. Whatever HLOOKUP would do, there are alternatives for it. So now, let's start with activity 1 so that we can use the activities to drive home the point. My screen is not clear. What does that mean? People, please confirm. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? Or someone is using MTN. That's why they can't see the screen. I hope no one works with MTN on this call. I hope so. So that they will not go and put it on record that if this guy comes to us that he needs a role at MTN, please don't give him. He once said that someone is using MTN. Clear and clean. Okay. You're saying clearly. All right. Screen is okay. All right. Good. So now you use MTN network Agama. Okay. Apologies. MTN is better for you. All right. So now we have this data set here. This is the first activity that we're looking at. So we take things in steps, one step at a time. We have this data here. These are names of people. Maybe you know them, maybe not. So these are names of people, and these are the positions. These are the positions here for all of them, 15 of them. You might have a scenario where you want to, for example, if I do something here, no, don't bother about this. If I do something here, like if I do this guy, just pick this guy here. If I do something like this, this is a drop down, so I can pick a number of options. And then I have a scenario where when I pick a name from this drop down list, I want to have the corresponding position. I want to have it somewhere next to it. I want to have the corresponding position somewhere next to it so that I can use that position that's returned. I can use it in a calculation. That is a typical lookup. Why is it a lookup? You have something and you want to use it to fetch something else. That's the idea for lookup. You've got something and you need something else. That's the idea. So now, if I want to do something like that, I have this list and then I want to get the position of this name on this table. Then I have a couple of options. One option is to use the choose function. What does the choose function do? Essentially what it does is that the choose function is able to do more like a selection between a couple of options using their position or their arrangement. I'll say that again. The choose function allows you to make a selection from a list of items using their orderly arrangement, however they are ordered. So whatever comes first, the choose function will take it to be number 1. Whatever comes second, the choose function will take it to be number 2. Whatever comes third, the choose function will take it to be number 3, number 4, number 5, and like that. So now, I'm going to take this guy out for now. Just do Control D to clean it up. Let me bring this guy closer. I bring it here. So what do we want to do? We have these names here. Excuse me. We have these names here. All the names here. What I want to return is from the list of names that we have here, which one is on the 3rd position? Which one is on the 3rd position? And mind you, I already mentioned to you that the choose function would use the order in which those names or whatever you want to return is arranged. That's what it will use to give you what you're getting back. Let's do one example, and I hope that that's going to be clear to you. If I come here, I do equal to choose. I do equal to choose. The first thing that choose is asking for is the index number. What is the index number? It is just a number that identifies the position of something. In this class now, assuming that everyone took attendance when they came in. So someone sits at the number 1 position on our attendance list. Someone is number 2, number 3, up to number 425 that we have on the call right now. What choose will do is that when you specify that you need number 425, the late comer, so that we give him just papers, others will take Akara, the children and the grandchildren, but he's just going to go get a paper. Then what choose would do is he uses that number to go and look for what is the name that corresponds directly to that position. The point I'm making here is that the index number is tied to the actual position, which would lead to the item that you want to get back. So I'll select 3 as the index number. 3, which is the position we want to return from these names. Then the choose is asking for the values, which are like, what do you want to return? That is what the choose is asking for now. One thing here is that for some reasons, we need to pick the values one at a time. So I come here, I select this as the first one. I put a comma. This is the second. I put a comma, third, put a comma, fourth, comma, fifth. I'm skipping some numbers so you see the difference. This 6. So I picked 6 values. So what would happen is that within the choose function, choose will assign numbers to these guys. So this one that you see here, the first item that we have in the list that we have provided, the first item will take position 1, second one, 2, third one, 3, fourth one, 4, are like that. So if I hit enter at this point, you see that I get back Lewis pattern. If I come here, position 3, Lewis pattern. Don't pay attention to this number itself, because the choose function is only looking at the position of whatever I've supplied to it in the values that I specified. So if I had done it this way, I go back in here, excuse me, and then for this third guy, I make it, instead of it being Lewis, I make it this last guy. I've changed the third item on my list to the last guy here, this Dwayne Chan. If I hit enter now, you see that Dwayne Chan is returned. So this tells you that the position that choose would use corresponds to the arrangement of the values that you provide to it. The first value that you give to it will take position 1. Second will take 2. Third will take 3, and like that. So if you need to pay attention to how you are arranging those values, how you list them, how you list them out, because that will be how the choose function will make the selections for you. I'll do that again. Equal to choose. Equal to choose. What do we want? What do we want to choose? We want an item on a particular position. In this case, the position is 3. That's what we want returned. Then you want to return the third item from what list? We need to now provide the list of the items. The first one, I give you the first one here, comma, second, comma, third, comma, fourth, comma, fifth, comma, sixth. However you list them out, you supply them to the function, that's exactly how it's going to be mapped. So I close the bracket, I hit enter, and I get this as the third guy. If this is clear to you, please go to the chat and type yes. Okay. What is the relevance of this choose? I was expecting that question. If you work in finance, you already know why this. So in finance, for example, you are building a financial model. And for your financial model, you want to create scenarios that would tie to some things. So maybe if you have any finance person on the call, you already understand what I mean. So you want to create a scenario that would switch over certain values. So you want to create something like a base scenario, you have worst case scenario, you have best case scenario, and all of those scenarios. A case like this that you have lots of items, it's not a case where you will use the choose, really. But I just want you to understand how choose works. So if it's in that scenario where you want to create a switch around certain scenarios, so that when your user selects a particular scenario, you want some values to be translated or transferred to your entire model or your entire report, that will be a typical case for you to use the choose function. But now, this that we have done with the choose function, we can actually do it with some alternatives. Let's look at the index function. Yes, you are not supposed to use this with very long data. You are not supposed to. So let's look at the index function now. The choose function super helpful for those of you that will be doing finance related analysis, may not be entirely helpful to those that will be doing other than that. So let's pick things one at a time. Let's look at the index function. I do equal to index. The index function is asking for an array. The array in the index function, please, I emphasize this a lot. Just ensure that you understand perfectly what the argument means, what the argument is asking for. The array in the index function implies the result that you want to get. So whatever you want to get in return, that's what you feed into the array of the index function. What we want to return, we want to return these names, this set of names. That's what we want to return, one of them. Then the row number is what? What does the row number mean? So the index is asking, from what you have provided now, which row do you want me to return? Which row? Do you want me to return what is on row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7? Which row or what row do you want me to return? That is what the index is asking for. And you also notice that the index also has the column number argument, which is optional. That is in a case where you probably are fed in more than one column into the array, like this. If you are fed in more than one column into the array, you will need to provide the row number that you want it to return and the column number you want it to return. But for our case, we only need the row number because we have provided just a single column back to the index. What row number do you want to return? Row 3, whatever number is here. So for this one, we will return row 3, this one row 6, row 7, row 9, row 12. I close my bracket, I hit enter, this gives back Lewis. I push this down, this gives back everything. And for row 12, I know why it didn't work, but just ignore that for now. So let me do this again. Equal to index. What is the array in the index function? The array is what you want to return. So I want to return something from these names. I want to return something from these names. Then I put a comma. The row number, which row do I want to return? I just select it here and then I hit enter. This gives what I need. Someone has tried out the index function? Try it out. Okay. Okay, good. Yes, I know why it didn't work for the trust position. Don't worry. It's the same reason why what someone complained about earlier. So I'm gonna get to that in a moment. The same way we had used the index function to return the name. So we add the positions and we returned the name. We can actually also use the index function to return the position for the names. Can someone try it, please? Try it out. I know, don't worry, Fiolua. I know. Some will be wrong. I know. And there's a reason. The reason is clear, but you may not just have figured out. So just pay attention to this. someone should try out this second one. Try it out. Use the index function to return the positions. Use it to return the positions for the names. I have my reason why I want you to try that. We'll get to it in 1 second. Anyone tried it out? Value error, good. Not working, good. All right. Why do you think you got a value error? Why? Because you passed the name into the index, correct? So you used the name as the row number you want to return. Is that what you did? Oh yeah. Is that what you did? The argument requests for a number, not a name. Excellent. Excellent. So I'm taking you this way so that you understand the differences, the nuances. Now, we already used the index function. When we knew the position, we want to return. We use the index function to reference to pick the name. If we know the name, because the index function is asking for a row number to match with the name, you may not be able to directly use the index function to get this out. Rather, the function that we'll use for this case is the match function. Match function is a function that was significantly or precisely built to return the position of something in a list. Whenever you have something, you have a name, like in this case, and you want to get the position of that name, where the name sits, you want to get that, then you would use the match function. It's still like the other functions that you already know. You do equal to match. What are we matching? We have the lookup value. So match is asking for question to you, everybody. How many compulsory arguments do we have in the match function? How many? How many mandatory arguments are here? How many mandatory arguments? That's the question. I see someone wrote 4, someone wrote 2, someone wrote 3. 2 mandatory arguments. Excellent. The third one, match type, it's an optional argument. If I provide, so the lookup value, whenever you are using any function that asks for lookup value, any function in Excel that asks for lookup value, your lookup value is that thing that you already know. Your lookup value is that thing that you already know. It's like the key that you want to use to unlock something else. The lookup array is where you would find that thing that you already know. What you know exists somewhere. So think about it this way. You as a person, you know the Igwe of your village. And in your village, you know a number of people as well. But there is someone you want to connect to in your village that you do not know directly. So you want to use the influence of somebody to get to that person. The person you know is your lookup value. The person would also exist in your village because it's from there. So your village will be your lookup array. And then you want to, your Igwe was buried last month. Haba, Mr. Emmanuel. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry. Maybe you are the next Igwe, right? So then you want to look for the person you already know in your village. Your village is now the lookup array. Everyone in your village is the lookup array. And that will lead you to what you want to get. So it's more like you want to use the Igwe that you know that you said was buried. You want to use that man to unlock access to somebody else. I don't know if you understand what I mean. People are just laughing. No, you are not supposed to be laughing. I want you to understand what it means. I want you to understand what it means to use, or so that you understand perfectly what lookup value means. Lookup value simply implies that which you already know, and then your lookup array is on the other side. Your lookup array will now be where you would find your lookup value, if you understand what I mean. Because this lookup value, the way it works with the match function, is exactly how it works with the VLOOKUP, with the XLOOKUP, with the XMatch, I like that. So if you understand it here, we don't have to keep repeating those explanations where we get to those other functions. So let's do this. Let's put this to use first. What is our lookup value? Lewis pattern. That's the name that we know. Lookup array. On this table, where would I find the Lewis pattern? Where will I find it? I'll find it on this column. So I will highlight everything here. That's the lookup array. That's where I will find it. And then, but I just want to return the position of Lewis pattern there. So that is simply done. The match type is, do you want to do an exact match or less than or greater than? Always use an exact match. Exact match means that you want to search for Lewis pattern exactly the way it's written, exactly case for case on this side. That's what you want to do. So I'll pick 0. That's for exact match. I'll close my bracket. I'll hit enter, and this returns a 3. It returned a 3. So let me do it again. Equal to match. What is the lookup value? That is what I know. That is what I have. I select it, comma. Lookup array. This is this guy here. All the names. That is where I will find. That is where I will find what I have. Comma. How do I want to look up? I want to look it up exactly. So I close the bracket. I hit enter. I get back a 3. Someone should try it out and let me know the result. Okay. We haven't mentioned at all column D. Yes. So let me be sure that people understood all I've done first. Then I will explain why you don't need to mention any other column for the match function. You get different results for the names. What does that mean, Olayinka? You got 5 for Gracious. Yes, there will be an issue there when you pull the formula down, but you understand why it's working that way. Don't worry. Just pay attention. You understand why it's working that way in a moment. Once you get that trick, every other thing will fall in place. But just understand how things are working out first for now. Two different names are bringing up the same position. Yes, it's possible. It's possible. But everyone understood this, how we use the match function. So let me bring you back to something. Let me bring you back to something. Don't worry. So long as the first one is correct for you, leave it at that. That means you got it correctly. The reason why the other ones are the way they are, you will get to that in a moment. What the match function is typically doing, the match function does not need any other thing. The match only, it's more like saying that we have in this class James. We want to know, we conducted, we marked attendance. And on our attendance book, it's only people that are present that are on the attendance sheet. So we want to know who was present. That is the scenario for you to use match function. So the match would only pick someone's name and it will go into a list of names to search for that thing. If it finds it, it will return the position where that thing sits. That's all the match function does. So this using the match function would be a perfect function for when you have a scenario where you want to compare two lists. For example, you want to compare if Precious Oluwole exists or Precious Oluwole is a student of AI now. So we have the list of everybody in AI now. And then we use the match function to search for Precious Oluwole in the list that we have for everyone that's registered for AI now. If you find Precious Oluwole, what you will get in return is the position where he finds it. So maybe Precious name appears as the 100th name. That's what you get in return, 100. If it doesn't find a name that you provide to the match function to go search for, you will get back NA. So if I come here to where I have list pattern and I type in Musin Hamid here, we get back NA because this name does not exist in the list that I provided. If what I just explained now, if it's clear to you, makes sense to you, please on the chart type 3. Before I finish saying 3, someone already types 3. I hope this person is not at the next door. I hope. It does not make sense to some of you yet. All right. So let me take it again. The match function. Think about it this way. There are two things that the match would ever return. Whenever you're using the match, it will return one of two things. It's either you get back a number or you get back NA. There's no third result. What does the match function do? The match function picks a particular item and it goes to search for it in a list of items. If the match function sees what you have provided for it to search for, if it sees it in the list of items, you get back a number. The number would correspond to the position that it finds that item on in that list as the list, however the arrangement. So if it finds it as the first item on that list, you get back a 1. If it finds it as the last item on that list of a list of 10, you get back a 10. If it doesn't find it on that list, you get back an NA. So that's how the match function works. You're using it to confirm if something appears or exists somewhere else. So it's more like saying match this thing against this list. If you find it, return a number that corresponds to the position of that item on that list. If you do not find it, return NA. I hope this makes sense to everybody. Okay. I hope it's clear to everyone now, so we can proceed. So now you understand. Now you understand what it means to use the index, and what it means to use the match function. So you use the index function when you know the position that you want to return something from. You have the position, you know the row you want to go to. So you want to return something from that row or from that column. Match, you want to use it to match against a particular list to check if that thing exists there. If it exists there, you want it to return the actual position. If it doesn't exist there, you get back any. Why does it bring the same position for two? Don't worry, I've explained that a couple of times. There's a reason for it. We'll get to it in a moment. So let's proceed. Class activity 2. Now, for this guy, we have the list of names and we have their scores in mathematics. We want to grade them. Remember that during our class on conditionals, there was a grading that we did that you check if a particular score is between or is greater than 70, for example, give the person A. If it's greater than 80, give the person B, and we did that grading. And we wrote a lot of conditions. One function that you can use to achieve that, a couple of functions that you can use, but one of the functions that you can use to achieve that has to do with looking up. We have a lookup table here. So we are saying that anything greater than 70 will be A, 60 to 69, B, 50 to 60, C, 40 to 50, D, and like that. You have your table like this. This is the lookup table. So this is what you are checking the scores against. And what we'll do is we'll do a sort of a lookup. So we'll look up this score in this. You would ask me, how would it see it? You see that in the definition of the function that we're going to use. And then we now return a corresponding grade based on wherever it finds the item here. The function we're going to use for this case is the function called lookup itself. So lookup is one function that not many people use. Not many people use it. People resort a lot to VLOOKUP. This thing that we want to do now, VLOOKUP can also do it. But we're going to use the lookup function because this class is meant to open your eyes to a lot of possibilities. How does the lookup function work? And lookup function has two variations. There is one that has 3 arguments. There is one that has 2 arguments. You use the one that has 2 arguments if you're doing something like a match, which is you are not returning something. You just want to check if what you're looking for, if it exists in the list you're providing to it. You use the first one, which has 3 arguments, when we want to return something else. And in our case, we want to return the grades. What is the lookup value? You already understood what lookup value means. Lookup value means what you have. What do we have in this case? That is the score. So I put a comma. What is the lookup vector? Where would I find this score? 92. You'll find it here. That's where you'll find it. Comma. What is the result vector? Which is what do you want to return if you find this score in here? So I want to return this guy. I close the bracket. I hit enter. I get back A. Why did it return A? Because it sees that 92 is greater than the highest that I provided, and so it returned A. Let me do that again. Equal to lookup. Equal to lookup. This is ordinary lookup. This is not VLOOKUP. This is not HLOOKUP. This is not XLOOKUP. This is lookup. What are you looking up? The scores in mathematics. That's what you're looking up. The scores in mathematics. I put a comma. What is the lookup vector? What is the lookup vector? Where would you find the score that you have provided? You find it here. You find the score you have provided here. Then I put a comma. What do you want to return? If you find the score here, you want to return this guy. So I hit enter, and then we get that. And if you push it down for B, we go back 66 would fall in the B category because it's less than 70. So we got this back. You see now that instead of having to write if we were to use the if or the ifs, we'll write at least 5 conditions here. Instead of having to write those 5 conditions, you can use the lookup function to solve that case, with a caveat. You have to ensure that this course, the way you arrange it, should be in ascending order. The least first, the highest last. I'm not sure, or let me say, I don't remember now if you distort this arrangement, if it's going to work. I'm not sure it's going to work, but this is how we use it normally. So you arrange it such that the least score will be right at the top, the highest would be below, and the arrangement is in ascending order, in this particular order. So you are not mixing things up. You are not putting 29 here for F, and then you are putting 70 for A in between. Your results will be wrong. What if you use the grade as the lookup vector? Will you get the same answer? You can answer that. If you use the grade as the lookup vector, would you find 92 in F? That's the question you're asking me. Would you find 92 in F, E, D, or so? Yes, it will give. Don't worry, don't worry. Is vector same as array? In this case, it is. Yes. That issue of dragging down, don't worry. Just few hours or minutes, we'll get to the problem and then we'll solve it. Just understand the function for now. Understand what we're trying to implement for now. Take your learnings in steps. Do not rush. If you rush to a destination, you might receive an Oraimo code. So don't rush. Take things a step at a time. Okay? This was how we tried to rush some of our lecturers in school, and they would tell us that they will not come to our class again. Do you want me to do the same? You love dragging that, I know. I want to drag down too. But just take your learnings one at a time, yeah? You will beg me, Mr. Akara. No, you cannot use Akara to appease me. That will not work. If it were to be VLOOKUP would work with descending order. VLOOKUP will work with descending order. Explain the two arguments again. So let's do it one more time. Last time, please. Equal to lookup. If I bring up the function argument box, you see what it does here. The lookup value is a value that lookup searches for. This explains all you need. Look at this. Read this. The lookup value is a value that lookup searches for in lookup vector and can be a number, text, a logical value, or a name or reference to a value. This explains it. But whatever you are providing as a lookup value must be available in the lookup vector. This explains it. Now, lookup vector is a range. Excuse me. Lookup vector is a range that contains only one row or one column of text, which means the range you are providing can either be horizontal or vertical, but it can only do one row or one column. It can't do multiple. But you should ensure that your lookup value must be in the lookup vector. Result vector is what you want to return if your lookup value is found there. So I say my lookup value is this. My lookup vector is this. And then my result vector is this. So I click on OK. What has changed? Let me do it here. Lookup value, this. Search for it here. And then return this guy. I will get back this. If you understood what we've just done, please type 5 on the chart. All right, we've done it 3 times now, so we won't go over it again. I'm sorry. Activity 3. This time around, we have these names here. We have these names here. We have this as the state code. And we are supposed to now provide the state of origin, state posted, and PPA. So this is more like, so these guys, they are supposed to be out on their NYC. Can we liken vectors to arrays? Yes. I know I answered that earlier as well. How did you highlight mass score and grade same time? I did not highlight both at the same time. Yes, there's a reason for it, Esther. First is you need to ensure that the values are arranged in ascending order. Ensure that that has been done first before anything else. Now, what would you use, pay attention to this, please. What would you use to populate these fields for each person is coming from this table here? It's coming from this table. Now, people, please look at this very well. Look at this. We have the names and we have the state code. We have the names, we have the state code. We are supposed to populate all of these from this table. Tell me, based on what you've learned so far, what would be the lookup value? What is the lookup value? What's the lookup value? Someone typed X lookup. The state code. Excellent. Why is it the state code? Because that is what we have, which we can also find here. So we use the state code to fetch every other information that we need. So I'll come here. I'll do the first one. And for this case, we'll use that our friend VLOOKUP. We'll use the VLOOKUP function. I will tell you a scenario where the VLOOKUP function might not work, but for this case, we'll use the VLOOKUP function. And then when we are wrapping up, I will summarize when each of the functions would work best, like the scenarios where you should think of using each of the functions. So just stay tuned. We'll get to that conversation because I know that someone is already thinking, can I use the lookup function for this case? Can I use the match for this case? Can I use index for this case? Or I'll give you a summary of everything, and I'm hoping that you understand it by then. But now, maybe you already have an idea as well that we cannot use the match for this case. Okay, but again, we'll get to all those conversations. So I'll do equal to VLOOKUP. Question once again: how many optional arguments are there in the VLOOKUP function? How many optional arguments are there in the VLOOKUP function? I've seen a 4. One optional argument. Super. The lookup value, thanks everybody. The lookup value is the state code, BA. I select BA. I put a comma here. I put a comma. The table array, that is the table that has BA and other things that I'm looking for. Understand this properly, please. When we used the match function, match asks for lookup value and lookup array, which is give me the lookup value and tell me where I will find just this lookup value that you have given to me. VLOOKUP is saying, give me a lookup value and give me a table where I will go in to find the lookup value plus what you want me to return. Please note the difference. VLOOKUP is asking for a table array. Match is asking for a lookup array, one column or one row for match. VLOOKUP, it will be more than a column most times. I said most times, so which means not always, but most times it will be more than a column. What is the table array? I'll come here to highlight my entire table. I'll highlight the entire table. I'll put a comma, column index num, column index num. That is the column number. Remember, anything index, it's more like the number. Column index num is the number that corresponds to the number of the column that you want to return its value. Let me take that again. Column index num, that is the position of the column that you want to return. What column do you want to return? State of origin. If you look for state of origin here, in what I've highlighted, what is the position of state of origin? State code is 1, state of origin is 2. So I'll come here and I'll put a 2 for column index num. Comma, the range lookup is similar to what the match function asked us, which was the last argument. What kind of lookup do you want to do? Are you doing an exact match or an approximate match? We are doing an exact match. Exact match is false, which can also be 0. So you can either type 0 there or you select false. I close the bracket, I hit enter, and this returned Bauchi. This returned Bauchi. I'll do that again. Equal to VLOOKUP. Lookup value, state code, we agreed, comma, table array, the table that contains the lookup value with the other things that I want to return, comma, column index num. What is the position of the column that I want to return something from? In our case, we want to return the state of origin. So state of origin is the second column on this table. So I put a 2 here. And for range lookup, I put a 0, which also means false, which translates to exact match. Close the bracket, hit enter, and I get back Bauchi. If you've done this, you understood it, please type 7 on the chart. Seven, super. Yeah, super. All right, good. Then, so look up the state posted for this first person and look up the PPA. Send that on the chart. Get the state posted and get the PPA and give it, put it on the chart for me. Bauchi, Gombe, Excel Nursery and Primary School. Okay. You don't have VLOOKUP. This is strange. What Excel are you using, Ifeoluwa? You are getting ref error. Can you paste your actual formula on the chart, Victoria? Victoria, you could paste the actual formula used on the chart. All right, looks like you all got it. Good. Now, let's look at the last activity for today. Let's look at the last activity for today. So this is an activity from the second or the third class. You're familiar with these names. You're familiar with these names, the subjects, and the scores. And we have these questions to answer. So let me bring it closer. Let me take this guy out. All right, so let's look at this together. Let's look at this together. From this list, we want to get who scored the highest. Remember the class, if we want to get what the highest score is, we want to get what the highest score is. What function are we going to use? If you want to get what the highest score is, what function are we going to use? We use the max function, not the MADO. Max function. Excellent. Now, if you now want to know who scored the highest, so the idea is before you can know who scored the highest, we need to sort of get what the highest score is, if you understand the logic. So we need to get what the highest score is. It's only when we now know what the highest score is, then we can now use that to get who scored the highest. So let's go now. First is we do a max, like you've said, on these numbers. Let me do it this way. Let me put the results behind so that I'm not going too far. So I'll put it here. So I do equal to max. Pay attention. It's simple. We just need to think through it properly. This is the max, 98. Who scored 98? Now I know this is 98. I need to now sort of do a lookup for 98 to return this particular name. I need to do a lookup for 98 to return this particular name. First thing I will do is this. Is it possible for me to know the position of this 98 within this list of numbers? Because if I know the position of this 98, I can use that to get whatever. If the position of the 98 is first one on this list, then give me the first name. That will be the corresponding name. So I'll do a match to look for the position of the 98. So I'll do a match here. Match whatever is returned as a score. Check for it in this same list of scores. Do an exact match. Hit enter. That tells me that is the first thing on this list. Now that I've gotten the position, I can then use the index function on this index, and you know that the first thing the index is asking for is the array, which is what I want to return. I want to return these names. That's what I want to return. I'll put a comma The row that I want to return is what the match function already gave to us. So I close the bracket, I hit enter, then I get back Claudia Earth. Amazing, isn't? All right, let's go again. This is the idea. Before you can get who earns the most in your company, if no one has told you, actually, you have a list of all the employees and you have their salaries. Someone's now asking who earns the highest. Who earns the highest? The first thing is we need to know what is the highest salary. When we know the highest salary, we need to now look up for that highest salary on the list of salaries to know what is the position. Where does that salary sit in the list of all of the salary amount? When we have that, then using that position, we can now use it in the index to return the corresponding name. That's the idea. So that's the logic. So if you think about it differently, you might be able to do it differently. But for now, this is just how it comes to a head. So first, like I've said, is to get the max. So I come here, I bring it down, close the bracket. This gives the max score. This is the max score here. Now I want to know, where does this max score, where does it sit on this list of all of the scores? Is it on is it the first thing? Is it the second, the third, or the fifth, or the last? Where does it sit there? I will now wrap this max function in the match. So I'll do match. What am I matching? The lookup value, that is the result of the max function itself, 98. So it's the same as just typing 98 here, but you want to make things dynamic, so you are referencing the result of a function. Where should it go and search for 98? It's still in this same list. Go and search for it in this list, comma, and do an exact match. So I've closed the bracket for match. So I hit enter. Match tells me that that score is actually the first on the list. Then I want to return the corresponding name. What name is sitting on the first position? That's what I want to return. So I'll now come here to use the index function. The first thing the index is asking for is the array, which is what do you want to return? So I want to return these names. I'll put a comma. The row number that I want to return, that's exactly what the match function has given to me. So I'll just come back here, close the bracket. For index, I hit enter, I get back this name. Can you just do max and index? Think about it this way. Index is asking for the row number that you want to return. So you need to be able to translate the score that max would return to you. You need to be able to translate it to a row number. If you can't translate it to a row number, if you just pass it directly, on the list that you are given to index will go and look for the 98th item, which it will not see on our own list because we do not have 98 names. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So if you pass the result of the max directly into the index, you are asking index to return the 98th item, which would not solve this problem. No, the arrangement does not matter here. It doesn't matter. So you see that it doesn't matter when we do who scored the lowest. So let's do it as now. It's the same process. So let's do it for this. Equal to mean, because we want to get the lowest score first. I highlight, enter, the lowest is 40. You see that the lowest is not at the top, neither is it at the bottom. So it's somewhere in between. The lowest is somewhere in between. I want to get the position of this 40. Where does 40 sit in this course? So I come here, I do a match. match the 40 that's returned as the lowest, match it into this, and return the exact thing. So it says that it's in on the 22nd position. That's where I would find 40. So if you count from the top, this 22nd item is the score that's the minimum returned. Then I will do an index, return the names, and that will be the 22nd name that will be returned, and it says it is Galen Rivers. So let's go down. So this is 40 is the score. So this is 40 here, and the name is Galen Rivers. You got it now? If this is a bit clear to you, just a bit clear to you, type 9 on the chat for me. Must there be a space before March? No. I said you should type 9. Someone is typing 9. Just Skill Up Nation. Someone typed small number 9. Because I don't want to say small letter 9. Daniel, type 9 now. You're typing 8. Okay. So that's the idea. So now, try it for the next one. Who had the highest score in mathematics? First is you need to be able to get the highest score in mathematics. When you get that, match it to get the location, then index it to return the name. So do that. If you get this one, you should buy yourself some nice akara tonight. Buy yourself, I said. You should buy yourself. I did not say I will buy. Oh, yeah. Try it out, people. Try it out. Interesting. I'm seeing some responses already. What if we have duplicated scores? Super. Thank you so much for that question, Lariwaju. You get a response. So, what would happen normally with all the functions that we have used today is they pick the first occurrence. But if we have duplicates, or you want to pick maybe the last occurrence, we'll look at that case tomorrow. So that's why today is lookup and reference 1. So we continue lookup and reference tomorrow. There will be some scenarios that we're going to explore. Well done on that, Akinsanya. Formula for both. It's the same formula, so just change mean to max. That's all. So let me put that on the chat for you. No, I don't want you to type the answer. I want to see the actual formula, Daniel. Who had the highest score in mathematics? Type out the actual formula on the chart. Can we use VLOOKUP? Straight answer, yes. Would you want me to try it? Straight answer, no. But for this case specifically, there are other lookup functions you can use, but VLOOKUP might not work for a reason. I'll tell you the reason. All right. Please try out these last two scenarios. Ensure you lay your hands on them. They are the same as the first two. What you just need to ensure that you get first is what is the highest score in mathematics? That's the first thing. What is the lowest score in English? That's the first thing there. So once you've done the two, then go on to now get the position of the scores, then you index it. So summarily, the lookup functions that we've explored tonight, you use the index function when you want to scan through a list to return something on specific rows or specific columns. You have a list, you want to scan through that list to return whatever corresponds to a particular row position. So that's when you should think of the index function. So index, it's more like a map that you use to go into a city that guides you to whatever location you want to go to in that city. But you must know the coordinates to that location. Remember your latitude and longitude in mathematics. Those of you that you did not run away from mathematics class, or those of you that you were not backbenchers. So you use it as a map to go into the cities, okay? But you need to know the latitude and longitude. The latitude and longitude in the index function is the row number or the column number. So once you know the row number, your column number, you can use the index function to scan through the list to get out what you want. The match function is used for comparison. Is to use to check whether something exists somewhere. So you have a name, you have an attendance sheet, you want to check if that name exists on the attendance sheet. Or you have a name, you have maybe a payroll list. You want to check if someone has been paid, or you have an account number or a GL code for accountants, or you have a line item. You want to confirm if it is on your trial balance. So whenever you want to check for something, if it exists somewhere, then you use a match function. Then whenever you are doing, you want to check if something exists and return something else. So for match, you are not returning something else. You just want to check if it exists. If you now want to take it a step further to return something else, then you will be using the VLOOKUP function or some other functions that we're going to explore tomorrow by God's grace. So match would check for something and it tell you whether that thing exists or not. If you get back a number, it tells you that thing exists on that particular position. If you get back NA, it tells you that that thing does not exist there. VLOOKUP will check if something exists somewhere and return something else for you. So when you want to return something else, match would not work. You need to use the VLOOKUP function. And then I think I've explained it. So that's those are the scenarios that we looked at. The choose, you technically don't need it a lot of the times. The match will do for some, the index will make up for some other ones, then the VLOOKUP, and then the lookup function itself. So when you want to do something that is pretty much approximate, like you want to do some ranking, you want to look up within ranks, or you want to look up within grades, those are very good scenarios for you to use the lookup function. I hope we've learned something tonight. If we have, head onto the chat and type 11. All right. Questions now. So let me take our questions in the next couple of minutes. I know that for some of you, you might have to watch this again. Please do, because tomorrow will be more like a step up over what we have done tonight. So that we explore a few more scenarios that you typically might be faced with, and you have an idea of how to resolve such scenarios. So be looking at that by God's grace in tomorrow's session. But for you to understand clearly some of the things we'll be talking about tomorrow, you need to really digest what we have done tonight. Hey, don't shame that man. Don't shame that man. Any question, people? Can we use the lookup function for the activity one? I've explained why when you should use what. So activity one is not about ranking. So when you want to do like an approximate thing, that's a typical case for using the lookup function, ideally. So because it's not as flexible as the VLOOKUP, the match and stuff, VLOOKUP, for example, what I mean by flexibility is that VLOOKUP is able to do exact match or an approximate match. The lookup function is fixated in some ways, but it's good information for you to have, especially for a case that would have needed you to write multiple ifs. That was why I brought it up. In most trainings, you will not hear about lookup function. In most workplaces, people don't even use it that much. So, but again, it's good information for you to have, and so that you understand a few of the differences that we have. Yeah. I hope that answers your question. I'm trying to look for other questions. I was almost saying look up for other questions. All right. Thanks, people. Watch it again if you need to. Make sure that the last two questions you solve them. Make sure you solve them. It's very important. That would cement your learnings, and that's a practical case of you having to combine those functions that you've learned so far. We catch you again tomorrow by God's grace. Have a good evening, everyone.